All right, God bless the faithful and the obedient. This is Sister Liberty, and I'm back with another message for you. So, I wanted to talk about how you and we have a purpose and a calling that we must live out. And if we choose to abort that or to ignore that, then we will have to give an account when we stand before God as to why we declined the calling, why we rejected the purpose of God on our lives. Because if God is the one calling us and drawing us and inviting us, then we must know that it is with purpose. Everything that God does is with purpose. Your life is purposeful. Your life is with purpose. And what that means is that your life has meaning. Your life is not worthless or unvaluable or irrelevant. Your life actually has a purpose. Now, I know many of us, we may not have been told or brought up in a way where that was constantly communicated to us, where you were told that, your life is precious. Your life is precious. You are valuable. You are loved. You are treasure. You are special. Many of us were not told that. We didn't hear that as often. Most of us have heard other things like you are a mistake, or you are never going to amount to anything. You're never going to become anything in life. And coming into the body, hearing the voice of God and answering his call for us, it really does take a tearing down of those things, of those lies that was sown into many of us, taking on our new identity and our new purpose in Christ, and having to really allow God to remove those other beliefs, those other things that we may have once thought about ourselves. If we don't, then that's really going to get in the way of who we are supposed to be. You and I are obligated to become what God is making of us. We have to agree and we have to align with the purpose of God on our lives. That's very important. You may say, but I don't know my purpose and I don't know my calling. Or maybe you've not gotten to a place where that has been revealed. I'm not sure. But what I do know is that your first encounter with God, so how God met you or how you met God, how you were invited to serve the Lord, that first encounter, that first moment, that's your first ministry. How God presented himself to you or introduced himself to you, that has your purpose all over it. However your experience was, whether you were on your deathbed, whether you were shot and you were minutes or seconds away from taking your last breath, and then a man who you've never seen before appeared. Maybe you were in that car accident and you saw a light, and as you felt yourself falling, you were placed back in your body. Maybe you were someone who, you got beat up real bad. You got beat up real bad to the point of death. You were left to die, and God gave you another chance. Or maybe you had some other kinds of experience. For everyone, it may not have been death. Maybe the Lord met you in a club. Maybe the Lord came to you in a dream or a vision. Maybe the Lord gave you an out-of-body experience to heaven or hell. Everybody experience and encounters are different with the Lord, but based on how the Lord does give you that encounter, that tells you your purpose in that encounter alone. So however that was, God has already purposed your calling. It's your job to know what that is. It's not enough to just say, well, God did call me, but you have never fulfilled that purpose. And many people lack understanding of what purpose is, because, throughout the years, I've encountered many people myself to where they believe that what they were doing in that moment, although they were out of the will of God, they believed and they considered that what they were doing and what they are currently doing is them fulfilling their purpose. They feel like, hey, I feel like I was called to be a barber. I feel like I was called to be a nail tech. I feel like I was called to be a stripper. I feel like I was called to be a firefighter or a police authority. And I feel like this is me fulfilling my calling. I feel like I am called to be a social worker. That's very common in the world, to where most people feel like, no, this is my calling, meaning I'm good at it. I have a desire to do it, and I am doing it. And so I feel really good about myself. I feel like this is my purpose in life. I feel like me coming to this group home and counseling these kids and letting them know that they're loved. I feel like that is my purpose. Why do most feel like that is purpose and that is their calling? Well, many believe that simply because of the satisfaction that it brings, and they may even see good results as to what they are doing. No, I know that this is my purpose. I know that this is my calling because of the results. I see the results of what I am doing. But when we lack insight, when we lack God's understanding, then we fail to realize that the purpose and the calling that we are fulfilling and that we are taking on is really our purpose and our calling. You understand that you can have a separate calling and a separate purpose from God. God has purpose and designed your life to look this way, but you believe because you're good at it, because others have told you that you are good at it, then you believe that, no, this is my purpose. This is my calling. I am called to be a judge. I am called to be an athlete. I am called to be a school teacher. I am called to go to college. I feel like that is my purpose. And it may even make sense to you, but if it's not producing the right kinds of things, if you're not seeing the right kinds of things benefiting you, because again, what you do, you may see some results. It may produce real results, life-changing results. Again, you may be the one to work at that mental institute, and you may counsel the people there, whether they're children or whether they're adults, and you see change happening in there. And so you really are convinced and persuaded, like, no, this is what I am supposed to be doing. But that's not producing godliness. That's producing worldliness. That's promoting self. That's allowing the glory to be put back on self. When your calling is God-based and God-driven, then it's going to redirect the glory back to God. You're going to see the hand of God moving in and throughout your life. Why? Because you are fulfilling a purpose in a calling that's God-based, God-driven, meaning God is the one that is ordering your steps. God is the one that is leading you. And anything that is God-based and God-driven is not going to lead you into sin. If it's not producing real transformation of the heart, real transformation of the mind, a renewing of the mind, if it's not provoking you to more love and more patience and more godliness, more holiness and more righteousness, then you have to question whether or not you are truly living out the calling of God on your life, for your life, not your calling and your purpose. Because we can have, our own kinds of, I don't know if priorities was the word I was thinking of, but, we can have our own idea of what purpose looks like in our lives. And again, when we are not coming to God to know what that purpose is, then we find ourselves fulfilling things that was never our job. You had this to fulfill over here, but because of your lack of seeking God for that help, you never fulfilled the role and the task and the purpose that God had for your life. Now, you're going to have to stand before God and give an account. You're going to have to answer to God as to why you declined or why you rejected the calling. You can't stand before God and say, well, Lord, I did fulfill my purpose. I did live out my calling. No, you were supposed to be this. You were supposed to be, a great nation, a mighty nation. You were supposed to be a light to the world. You were supposed to bring in many for my name's sake. You were supposed to win many, many souls, but you chose to follow your own path. You chose to follow your own desires and your own passions. What kind of I don't know the word that I'm looking for, but that's a scary place to be in, knowing that you lived your whole life seeking your own will, fulfilling your own purpose and your own calling, and then having to stand before God. That's a scary place to be in, believing that you were doing the will of God the whole time when really you were not. You were doing your own thing. It made me think about those in Matthew, I believe it's 7, where he says, many are going to say, Lord, Lord, have I not? Yet these are those that believe that they are living out the calling and the purpose of God for their lives. They're fully convinced that, no, this is the will of God. It's the will of God for me to take on the role and the title of an apostle or a prophet. And although I am lying to people for money, I still believe that I am fulfilling the purpose and the calling of God on my life, because people are being impacted. People are being drawn to me in the glory. And so although I'm a false prophet or a false teacher, I may still feel as though I've done what I needed to do as far as the calling of God on my life, because I took on the role of a Christian. Yet I'm going to have to give an account to the things that I did know and the things that I was supposed to know. So what we must understand is that we are obligated to know the purpose of God on our lives. You are obligated to know your purpose. You may say, I don't know my purpose. You are obligated to know that it's your responsibility to seek. Jesus said that if you seek, you will find. If you seek, you will find. Jesus said this red letter words in Matthew 7, verse 21. Not everyone that says unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that does the will of my Father which is in heaven. There's a will, and where there is a will, there is a purpose. There is a purpose. And so to fulfill the purpose is to fulfill the will of God. But many are not going to fulfill the purpose or the will because they're seeking their own will. They're seeking their own understanding of what life is, And so he says that those who do the will of my Father are going to enter in. Those who sought for the purpose and understood the purpose, they understood my Father's will because they did it. They obeyed. You know that a person understands the purpose of God on their lives when they respond accordingly. That person begin to let go of a lot of things. They let go of the worldliness. They let go of the idols. They let go of the past, and they took on. So that means they fully embraced their new identity. They fully embrace the calling of God on their lives. They acknowledge that this is who I am. I am no longer that right there. This is who I am. God has re-identified me, and with that comes purpose. My life actually has a purpose, a real purpose. Again, it's not me just simply going to college, getting a college degree, and living out that career. And that's just the end of the story. The moral of the story is that, you were the first to go to college in your family, and now you are a doctor, or now you are, this well-known celebrity, or this well-known, the word I'm looking for, like senator, this well-known senator, you are known to be into politics, and now you've worked your way up. You went from mayor now to governor. Now you want to run for president, and you're well-known, and you've accomplished that. But then one day you have to die, and you have to stand before God, and then it's going to be said that, no, this is what you've accomplished, but you missed the whole purpose of life. The whole purpose of life is not for vainglory, not for Yeah, vainglory, but not for self-glory. The whole purpose of life is so that you fulfill the calling of God on your life. There is a calling. There is a purpose. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name? And in your name have cast out devils, and in your name done many wonderful works. Then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that work iniquity. You practice evil. You do evil. You seek out self-glory. You fulfilled your own purpose and your own calling on your life. You did not answer my calling. My desire for your life looked at this way. There was so much that you were supposed to do, but because of your unwillingness to give up the world, you rejected it. You neglected it because you felt like these things were more important. You felt like that this was where your heart was. And your heart can deceive you. Your heart can deceive you. Jeremiah tells us that the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked, for who can know it? You cannot trust your heart. You cannot follow your heart. You cannot trust you because you are weak. You are a weak human, meaning you have flaws. You have weaknesses. Ooh, I got tongue twisted. You have flaws. Sorry. You have weaknesses. You have weaknesses. And so when we are not in the will of God, when we are not seeking the purpose of God in our lives, then we will find ourselves doing other things that we believe is the will of God, that we believe is what God is wanting from us. But those things take you away from God. They take you further away from God, meaning these things that you're doing, you may be a bartender and you may be convinced that that's your purpose. This is my purpose. You may be a car salesman and you may be convinced like, no, this is my purpose because, when I'm trying to persuade people to buy a car, I feel really happy about myself. I feel really good about myself. And when I make a deal, when I seal a deal, I just feel like, man, see, I knew that this is what I am supposed to be doing. But what is it doing to your heart? Because if it's the purpose of God, then it's going to be conditioning your heart in the right way. So it's going to look like God. When it's the purpose of God in your life, it's going to reflect God. It's going to look like God. Your heart is going to be transformed. Your heart is going to be more like God. Your mind is going to be more like Christ. Your decisions, your outcomes are going to be godly. They're going to look like God. But when it's not the will of God, but you think that it is, it's not going to really produce anything. And what it does produce is going to be temporary. What it does produce, is it going to push you forward? Although it may seem like it, because again, you have people who they're living a life out there and they're seeing promotion in their path or in their future. They're seeing promotion, they're advancing, they're investing, they're getting money, they're becoming richer, they're becoming wealthy. And so people are actually seeing things happen. And that's the deception. That's the deception. Especially when it's taking you so far away from God that you forgot who God was. It makes me think about, I think it's the prophet Lemuel in Proverbs. I think that's Proverbs where he says, Lord, don't make me too rich lest I forget who you are and I say, who is God? And he says, don't make me too poor lest I steal and I take your name in vain. Give me, he says, give me a balance. Give me a balance. I don't know. I think it's Proverbs 30. But yeah, he says that. He says that because we can seek out our own will and our own desires, and it takes us out of the will of God. And it takes you so far away that it's blinded you. It's blinded you, and it's caused you to forget that there even is a God. As far as you are concerned, I am God because I've accomplished so much. And so each and every one of us are going to be held accountable. Our being is going to have to give an account for whether or not it fulfilled the purpose. I have to fulfill the calling on my life. I have to complete it. And that looks like me living my life daily for the Lord, me laying down my life, me taking up my cross, me denying the works of my flesh, me denying my worldly and fleshly desires. I have to pursue God with everything in me. The Word of God says that I have to work out my soul salvation, my own soul salvation with fear and with trembling. I have to put forth the necessary effort every single day. Why do I have to live up to the standard? Why do I have to strive to enter in? Number one, it's a high calling. Number two, my life is not my own. When God purchased me, when I gave God my life, when I said yes to Jesus, when I committed, I agreed, I signed up in saying that all of me belongs to Jesus, not just my salvation, not just my body, but my whole life. My whole life belongs to Jesus. And so that means that I have to agree with the calling of God on my life. When I stand before God, I want to hear the words, well done, my good and faithful servant. In order for you to hear the words, well done, that means you've had to have done a work. You've had to have done a job. You've had to have done something. You can't be a lazy person and then stand before God and say, well, God, I didn't know I had a calling. God, I didn't even know that you expected me to live a certain way. Yes, I did. You are obligated to know the way you should be living. God speaks through creation around us. You are obligated to respond to what you see. You may say, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know whether or not I should commit now or later. I don't know. You are obligated to respond according to what you see and how God reveals himself to you. Are you having dreams where God is showing up, or an angel is showing up and God is trying to communicate something to you? Are you having visions where God is showing you things while you are awake? Is God allowing you to see different signs as you're driving on the road? Maybe it's a billboard. Maybe it's something on someone's car. Maybe it's something on the radio or the TV. You are responsible for responding to the glory of God in the earth. Number one, you are responsible for knowing that there is a God and that you are not him, that there is a truth, and that you are responsible for seeking out that truth. Lord, there's so many religions out there. I don't know what to believe. You are responsible for seeking and asking. If you don't know, you should be asking, Lord, if you are the real God, if this is the real religion, then show me. Lord, if there really is a purpose for my life, show me. God, if you are calling me to serve you, show me. And he will. He will. You have to believe that you are not a mistake. You have to believe that you were actually born with a purpose and that to God you are special. You have to believe that. That's why God makes every encounter different, meaning this person may have had this encounter. You can look at that throughout the Word of God. Abraham, the Lord encountered him completely different than how the Lord encountered Moses. God spoke to Moses through a burning bush. But with Abraham, the Lord just spoke to Abraham, told him to get up, leave his family's house, and go into another land, go into another place. You know, the Lord encountered Samuel differently. He called Samuel by name. He says, Samuel. Samuel gets up and he runs to Eli, his spiritual father. And he said, did you call me? He says, no, I did not. Go back and lay down. The Lord calls Samuel again and again. And Samuel answers the calling of God on his life. God was calling. And so sometimes, God will speak in an audible voice to certain people where he will call them by name. And even if God never speaks to you audibly, however God does it, God is still calling you by name. He makes the encounter special to communicate that you are special and that he has a special assignment for you and that you have to fill it out. And one of the things that I appreciate that God does is that when he does calls us, he equips us. So he gives us the manual. He gives us the instructions. He gives us everything that we need. God doesn't just call us and send us out empty-handed. No, he calls us. He makes us, he builds us, he equips us, he gives us weapons, he gives us tools, and then he sends us out. Now go and build, go and work, go and do what I've given you. And when I come back, I want to get a return in what I've invested in. When I come back, I want to see that you've utilized what I've given you. God doesn't want us to be like the guy with the one talent. What did you do with what I gave you? Well, I didn't really understand the purpose and the calling on my life. But you know that I've designed you with purpose. You know that I've designed you with a plan and with a calling. That's why I gave you one talent, because I knew what you could handle. God gives every man according to their several abilities. So God knows what you can handle. That's why he visits you the way that he does. That's why he speaks to you the way that he does. God doesn't speak to everyone the same. Some people get more intense encounters, but others, they may just get, God may speak to them through numbers. Some people, God speaks to them through numbers, through lettering. Some people, God may speak to them through an inaudible voice. And others, God may have to just send an angel to their bedside, because that's the way God has purposed them. Like, no, this one has to have special encounters. This one has to have these kind of encounters. And based on how God visits you, that's your calling. That's the purpose that God wants you to live out. How he visits you, how he sees you. Hey, when God shows up and he talks to you, what is he communicating? What is he telling? What is he telling you? What is he saying to you? And do know that when he comes, he does not come empty-handed. Whatever God is speaking to you, if he's saying, hey, you need more love. If he's saying, hey, get up and pray. I know that it's 3:00 in the morning and most are asleep. Get up and intercede, because you have some brothers and some sisters over in Kenya. You have some brothers and sisters over in Australia that are facing some serious persecution. Get up and pray. Get up and intercede. Get up and seek me. God will speak to you based on your ministry, based on your calling, based on your purpose. What is my purpose? Your purpose can't just be you working at a nail salon for the rest of your life. Oh no, I'm living out my purpose. I do hair for my career. Your purpose can't just be you being a school teacher or a principal for the rest of your life like that. That can't just be your story. So that's it. So God made you just for you to be, America's Next Top Model. God made you and created you just, to own your own business. Is that your story? Is that the meaning of life for you? No, there has to be more to life than just that. Like, this can't be my end. It can't just be said that, I was born, I was the first to go to college, and now I'm a nurse. Now I'm the head nurse. Now I'm the doctor, and that's just my story. I lived out my life and I fulfilled my calling. Yeah, but you overlooked all the other kinds of things that you were supposed to do. It would be very scary to know that when you stand before God, he says that that if you would have never went left, you were supposed to draw thousands to me. You were supposed to draw many to me. I called you for a reason, but you rejected it. You thought the world was more fun. You thought the world was more exciting. You thought that this career was your purpose, but that was your purpose, not my purpose for you. It's scary to know that, man, I was supposed to live out these kinds of things. I was supposed to be a light in the earth for the Lord, man. So I was actually supposed to destroy the kingdom of darkness by obeying the Lord and seeking him. But I chose not to. That's going to be scary for many people when they have to stand before God, because you will have to explain why you rejected it. And it's not going to be justifiable. It's not going to be acceptable, because God makes it to where the purpose and the calling is possible. You can fulfill this. We know that that's true because of the record, the Bible, that we have of other men and women of God who were called, and they lived out the calling of God on their lives, and they completed the task. They finished the work. Matter of fact, I was reading that a little while ago in Exodus, when Moses completed the temple. The word of God says that he completed the work. He finished it. He completed it. That's why you can hear the words, well done, my good and faithful servant. Yeah, you completed the purpose of God on your life. You completed the calling. You did it. You did it. So we have records of others who have gone before us and they completed the journey. You and I, we can complete the journey too. We have already been equipped with what we need. With everything that we need, we've already been equipped. God gave us the instructions. God gave us the necessary tools to build. Hey, build this house. Build this house. And when I get back, it better be a house, it better be in the best condition, the right kind of condition. You have the tools. Why are you not using them? You have everything that you need, but most feel like the calling is too high, and it is. It's a high calling, but it's called a high calling for a reason. God makes it that way, not because it's super hard, not because it's impossible, but because it is possible, and that it takes a person who's willing to just get beyond themselves. It takes a person who says, you know what? I'm willing to lay it all down so that I can gain it in the next life. It takes a person who understands that nothing and no one in this life can replace God. I'm sold out. I'm sold out. That person understands that they are not their own. That person understands that they are becoming. God is making them. God is changing them. He's transforming them. And they understand that their lives are not their own. Oh no, my life is not my own. You know, I can't help what I am. This is who I am. I can only fulfill the calling of God in my life. That's all that I know to do. And so they do it. They live it out. They're living like that daily. No, this is my life. When you can understand that, then you don't make any room for anything to slow you down. When you understand, like, no, this is who I am. I know you see me always preaching. I know you see me always praying. I know you see me always reading my word, but I can't help what I am. This is me. This is who I am. I am not my own. I belong to God. And so my lifestyle, my whole life has to communicate that. My life has to speak. Because our lives are speaking. Your life is communicating something. It communicates who you are. Your life communicates who you are and what you are. Who are you? What am I? I don't know what I am, but you are something. You are an image of something, because whatever has your attention, whatever has your heart, you are a reflection of that. You may not realize this, but you are being conformed into whatever you are setting your eyes and your heart on. If it's the world that you are setting your heart and your eyes on, then do understand you are being conformed into more worldliness, more ungodliness. But if it's the Lord that you are focused on and God has your heart, then you are actually being conformed into the image of God. You are becoming a reflection of who God is, but in the earth. It's almost as if you are Jesus in the earth. You are a reflection of that. Your lifestyle reflects who God is. So when people see you, they already know that there's something different about you. Why? Because you are carrying out the plan of God. You're living it out. And as you are doing that, goodness and mercy is following you. God is making your light to actually shine. Yes, this was my whole purpose for making you, causing you to be born, making you and birthing you out into the world. Yes, this was my whole purpose for you, so that you can be a light to the nations, so that you can draw all men unto me, that they see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Yeah, that's it. That's the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life, Sister Liberty? I don't know. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what I should be doing. You are responsible for searching that out. You got to search that out. You have to seek. And you got to be desperate enough to seek and search for answers. You know, when someone actually really wants answers to something, they will search it out, no matter how long it takes, because they feel as though they won't have rest until they know, oh no, I can't get no sleep. I can't get no rest until I know the answers to this right here. And many of them, they find what they're looking for. Will you find what you're looking for? Are you willing to search? Because he promises, if you search for me with all your heart, you will find me. You know, that's not vain. Those are not vain words. Those are words that are true. Those are words that God honors. No, I told you, if you seek me, you're going to find me. I'm going to allow you to find me, because you're searching. You're searching. And guess what? You will find what you are looking for, and it will change your life. It will take your course to another way up. I don't even know the words, but it will cause you to be put on the right path, is what I'm saying. When you encounter God, that's supposed to change your whole life. That's supposed to shift the path that you were on. You were headed down the wrong direction. Now that you've encountered God and you've accepted the calling of God on your life, that's going to place you on the right path. Many of us didn't even realize that we were going the wrong way until God stepped in. Wow, I thought the way that I was living was good. I thought I was living out my purpose. Yeah, but you were doing these things right here too. I was, but I don't know. I didn't necessarily believe that they were wrong, but I was doing them. And so we must answer the calling of God on our lives, because each and every person on the face of the planet has one. If you were not aborted or miscarried, then there's a reason why you are here. There's a reason why God allowed you to be born. You could have been aborted. The Lord could have put it on the hearts of your parents to go down to a clinic and abort you, or to take a pill and abort you. You could have been miscarried. But the fact that God, He knew you, He formed you in your mother's womb. He's ordained you a prophet to the nations. He knew you before your parents even did. The simple fact that God allowed you to be born, that tells you right there that you were born with purpose, that you were born with a life full of a lot of meaning. No, your life has meaning. Figure it out. Search it out. There's a reason why you are here. Don't let it be in the end that you were just born in vain. Don't let it be said that, yeah, it would have been better if you were not born, because to him who knows and don't do it, it's sin. To him who knows the right things to do and does not adjust, Jesus says it would have been better if you were not born, because now that you know, you're held accountable. And because you didn't adjust, now you're going to be beaten with many stripes. So it would have been better if you were just not born. It would have been safer for you. So now that you know, you've heard, now you know you're held accountable. You have a decision to make. So that's my message. That's my message. I don't think I need to go any further. Just accept the fact that your life does have meaning, and that you are responsible for seeking your creator, seeking your maker. There is a God. Meet him. Know him. Search for the truth. It is available. God is making himself available to those who seek him. And those that seek him, they will find him. So God bless you in Jesus' name.